Hi everyone, this is Taj. I am sorry once again for taking an unannounced break from this channel. I had a lot of stuff going on in the month of March with work and also with some other side projects I've been involved with. I just wasn't able to spend the amount of time that I needed to make videos for this channel. I promise that I'll get better about letting you guys know when I'm about to disappear for some time because of extenuating circumstances. The movie we're going to review today is Us. Us was written and directed by Jordan Peele, whose last film, Get Out, I reviewed on this channel and enjoyed quite a bit. Jordan Peele is an American filmmaker, screenwriter, and producer. Besides Get Out and Us, he's also responsible for the most recent reboot of Twilight Zone on CBS. Based on his recent projects, I think it's safe to say that he has a knack for horror and psychological thrillers. Us definitely falls more into the horror category. It's a lot more suspenseful and bloodier than Get Out was. And while I did like the fact that Us was probably a little more exciting than Get Out and different from Get Out, it's also more perplexing, sometimes in a good way and sometimes also in an unsatisfying way. Us follows Adelaide, a mother played by Lupita Nyong'o, who at the beginning of the movie has flashbacks of a certain horrifying event that she experienced as a child. Soon after arriving at their vacation home, Adelaide's family is confronted by these red jumpsuit-wearing doppelgangers who start terrorizing them. So the idea of having a creepy doppelganger coming after you has always scared the shit out of me, even though it's something that's been done so many times. Jordan Peele even admits that the story of Us was partially inspired by a Twilight Zone episode in 1960, where the main character of that episode encounters her doppelganger at a bus stop. And I think Jordan Peele did a great job of making these doubles genuinely creepy. They don't speak in English besides the main character's double. They communicate through chants and hand signals, which are really disturbing and bizarre. My impression is probably pretty bad, but you get the idea. The double of the daughter always has this smile on her face, and it's really unsettling. The double of the dad, played by the same guy who was M'Baku in Black Panther, has this long, sad, droopy face that he never breaks. To make matters worse, these doubles appear to be stronger than humans, so it's harder to fight back and evade them. I found a lot of the scenes where this family faces off with these doubles to be really entertaining. It's done in a very typical cat and mouse sort of way, but it's still fun. This is a good-looking film with good cinematography. Love the opening shot with this 1980s set where we have this old TV and we're seeing this old 1980s commercial for Hands Across America. The soundtrack does have a tendency to be a little overbearing sometimes. There were certain points where the music felt like it was trying to make me feel a certain way as opposed to just being a part of the film's atmosphere. I liked how they incorporated Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys. It's done in a very ironic and memorable way. The acting was pretty good. Lupita Nyong'o kills it. The child actors were even pretty good. I really enjoyed Tim Heidecker and Elisabeth, who were really good additions to this cast. The balance of comedy and horror was well done. The jokes landed more often than not. There's only like 2 jokes I can think of that I didn't really appreciate. The story of this movie starts out wonderfully. It gets you invested in this mystery and it gives you a good sense of who the main character is. But as you learn more about these doubles and as the film starts to answer certain questions, it only ends up raising a ton of other questions. In some ways that makes the film more interesting because it forces you to think more about what certain parts of the story mean. It's so thought-provoking that it almost gives you the urge to go out and see it a second time so that you can try to find more answers. But there are certain things that the more you think about it, the less sense it makes, and these are things that are still not going to make sense even if you were to watch this film a second time. I now have to go into spoilers so that I can go into detail about what it is I'm talking about, so if you don't want to hear any of that and you want to hear the rest of my thoughts and my score on Us, then go to this part in the video and it will take you right to that part. And 3, 2, 1, let's go. So you find out that these doubles are clones created by the US government in an attempt to tether them to human beings to control Americans. These clones, or the tethered as the film labels them, are held in these secret underground tunnels, many of which exist in the US according to this ominous title card at the beginning of the movie. And it's pretty vague on the specific details as to why this government experiment failed. I believe the clone of Lupita Nyong'o says something along the lines of there not being enough funding for it. But I guess my other question would be is, how come the government didn't try to cover any of this up? This is clearly government overreach. It also never gets into exactly what supernatural force is connecting these clones to these humans. And while that whole explanation did leave me pretty unsatisfied, I was able to get past it because I'm not horribly against the idea of keeping this concept somewhat vague and ambiguous. But the film then chooses to ditch ambiguity and reveal that Adelaide is actually a clone, which raises even more questions. At the beginning of the movie, we see a flashback of the main character as a young child with her family. She ends up wandering off from her parents and walks into this funhouse full of mirrors that's connected to one of these underground tunnels holding all these clones. So her clone finds a way out of this underground tunnel through fate, as the film describes it, and finds a way into the funhouse, kidnaps actual Adelaide and puts Adelaide in this tunnel and takes her place in the real world. So the actual human this entire time was Adelaide's clone and not actually Adelaide. This reveal had me leaving the theater scratching my head like, what? If this little child clone was able to get out of this tunnel, then what's stopping the actual child from also getting out? She's not brainwashed or anything like that. Wouldn't that be the first thing she tries to do? This reveal also makes some of the earlier conversations in the movie feel kind of dumb. Why didn't the original Adelaide bring up the fact that she was switched when she first encounters clone Adelaide and her human family? Wouldn't that have casted the shadow of doubt over the authenticity of who the mother was? That could have created a really interesting internal conflict between the family. I feel like the movie would have done itself a huge favor if it had just kept that part of the story more symbolic and ambiguous. They do that with the son. There are hints that he's also a clone in the movie, but they never confirm it, and it's way more interesting as a result. You also find out that it was the original Adelaide who was the one who masterminded the plan to get all of these clones out of these tunnels and wreak havoc on their human counterparts and do the whole hands across America thing. But it's not clear at all how she was able to conjure up this master plan with these clones who don't speak English, a lot of which live in different tunnels that, as far as we know, have no way of communicating with the outside world. Did she leave her tunnel and find all of these other tunnels to explain what was going to happen? Where did they get all the red jumpsuits from? Because they're not wearing the red jumpsuits in the flashback scenes where they're mimicking humans. Guys, I did have a fun time watching Us. I do struggle to understand some of the writing choices and some of the logic of the story. Even with these significant plot holes, I do think there's a lot about this film to enjoy, and it is thought-provoking, which is a lot more than I can say about most horror films today. I'm going to give Us a 3.5 out of 5. Thanks for watching, guys. You are so kind. I am so happy to be doing this again. I am really looking forward to seeing a lot of movies this month. I wasn't able to see a whole lot of movies in the month of March. I did see 3, though, that I'm going to talk about in a March recap that will be coming out soon. Hit the like button if you like this video, or share this video, or both, whichever you prefer. I don't care. And as always, if you dig the channel, then subscribe to the channel. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be back. I will see you in the next video. Be sure to get outside. It's starting to get warm again, and God, does it feel good. I will see you in the next video.